Welcome to the Creative Entrepreneur Show. What do we have this week, Bryon?
Hey, Rosh, happy to be here. Happy to be here in the flesh. I am a real human. We haven't
Yes, we are.
automated this podcast. We have, after what we saw last week, and if you didn't listen to last week's episode, please listen. Pretty amazing stuff about automated podcasts. But no, this is real people talking about real two creative guys talking AI. So yeah, this week I want to do kind of a callback to our really good guest John from a few weeks ago, John Munsell of Bazooka, and talk about how we implemented some AI for some training and some guides for our employees here at Great Scott.
Hmm.
And then also, I found myself in a very, very tedious workflow that I thought, man, it's got to be there to where I can automate this whole process. And, wait till the end of the episode to find out how it did. What do you have
Okay.
going on?
So I want to talk about klingai.com. It's looking pretty darn good. And then I want to talk three YouTube AI things you should know. And that's where I'm going this week. All
Ooh.
video related stuff.
Okay. And you say Kling AI? Kling?
Yeah, it's KLINGAI.com.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. So, all right. Well, John was on a few weeks ago and he talked about how his company has been using AI to help automate the training and the onboarding and the retention of
Right.
employees by making employees feel empowered from day one that they've got the right information, they've got everything that they need in order to succeed. And instead of them coming in fresh, it's like they're kind of stepping on the shoulders of the person before them because they're taking that momentum. And I
Yeah.
thought that was a really cool process. And I'm like, how can we apply that, on a smaller scale to our company here at Great Scott Social Media? And so first of all, I just looked up, hey, ChatGPT, what are the ways I can use you to help with this, overall subject? So it said, all right, yeah, we can do step-by-step process. We could do content creation guidelines. We can do best practices for different platform specific things. Also how to interpret social media metrics and, also templates of how to communicate with clients. I'm like, okay, cool. These are some really good things, but this is still kind of surface level for me. How can I really, really use you to help out say a new employee? Now in our company we really do hire remote workers, and they're part-time typically, so they're going to come in and get a couple responsibilities, and then once they do that job they get a better job, and they add on more and more responsibilities. So we're making right now a moldable training guide that's based on information that we put into one of our Google Docs or Google Sheet when we onboard a client. And, things like, hey, which platforms are they on? What kind of language, are they speaking? Are they, very professional? Are they funny? Different things like that that are part of our onboarding process. But really what we're doing is we're going to take this Google sheet of all the information from when we're onboarding a new client, and then we're going to be able to create customized training guides based upon the responsibilities that we're giving our employee, and say, okay, oh, you're adding on so and so, this client. Okay, I'm going to make you a new training guide based upon their specific requirements. And to be able to have that intelligence go back and forth to read the Google document and then extrapolate that information out and then customize a training guide is really an efficient way of doing it, and it's eliminating a lot of steps. So
No.
I know, you're taking on some employees and your agency's been growing as well. Are there ways, you think you could apply and try to use that?
Yeah, I've always liked the idea of having guides for your team. And even it's always a good idea just to have HR documents and even
Right.
handbooks and things like that. And a lot of times it is the time that it takes to do all that. And when you can have, the world at your fingertips to help you develop your style, what you want, because you can have the standard. Give me the standards
Mhm.
for HR. Give me the standards of how to do something, and then you can curtail it to your style. And
Right.
moving forward, to your point, AI and approaching, how you're going to approach AI, how you're going to work within AI, or even your tasks is part of the company, and have it really right there in black and white for your people as they come on to see what is expected of them. And
Mhm.
that's a great way to use AI. It's a time saving tool,
Right.
and it'll give you the ability to, double check the stuff you already have. if you have some documents that you've been using, go through and say, hey, you can even ask, is any of this legal? I'm
That's
asking
not
my employees to do this. Is this legal?
right. Well, hey, at least to have some, of a framework, or at least a bouncing board to get that idea back of, is that legal? And then say, all right, now I'm going to take it to an actual legal professional and get their
Yeah,
opinion.
right,
But
of
also the
course.
same thing with HR documents too. It's like you can, draft and get the ball rolling, but then you can maybe consult with an HR professional and be like, hey, is this on the up and up? You
Yeah.
still want to include the professionals for a reason.
Well, I mean, I think just for liability, I
Right.
mean, if you're in front of a judge, say the AI said it was fine.
Right.
I just don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that's a defense that we're going to be hearing more and more. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, I saw it on TV, things like
Right.
that.
Exactly.
Anyway,
All right.
um,
Passing on over to you. Kling AI. What do we have?
so Kling AI, it's another video app that worked pretty well. They had a earlier version that actually it was interesting. I did my stand. You know how you do standard prompts, and I think people should think about this when you're testing things and trying new AIs. Have a standard prompt to work with so you can compare and even
Hmm.
compare different generations. And you know, I often will have tiger or a husky running through a daisy field. And sometimes the tiger or husky's walking on top of the daisies. Sometimes it's going backwards. The old version of Kling AI had a beautiful husky and is actually more natural looking, but is walking backwards and was doing kind of funky things. But the face was great. The new version, everything was spot on in terms of how the husky was walking through the daisy field, although it's much more contrasty. So I don't know if you can make that kind of adjustment. It was like they've upped it to a hyper realistic kind of
Right.
model. So
I picture the movie like Sin City, where everything was very, very bright, like you said, contrasty.
yeah, yes, exactly. So Kling AI is, you can try it for $10 a month. And it's a big upgrade difference. It's worth trying out. It's, obviously one of many different types of video AIs that are out there, but I thought I would mention it this week because my main thing that I really wanted to talk about will be that YouTube thing. Now, right now, as we are talking, I am working on an in video, uh, same thing with the husky going through the daisy field. But this will give you narration in some. It's kind of a complete movie thing, and I just looked and it's 58 seconds. So I'm going to look at. I'll talk about that next week. I think it's been around for a little while, and I've heard about it, but I saw some people doing just complete all around, little YouTube videos, for example, on a topic. So
Hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool. Hey, I do want to, well, no, I was going to update something, but it's actually related to my next topic. So back to you, sir.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll get back to you on that, I promise. So, all right. So, I was working on some videos for a mutual client of ours, and I received some late edits on these videos, and we had already produced 66 iterations of these videos.
66.
Yeah, to be very specific on the number, because I am currently like in the mid 50s in terms of turning them around and getting these edits done. So, needless to say, there's an intro card, an outro card, and the intro card, the main caption of it wasn't quite to my client's liking. And, we'd already received approval previous, but, these things happen. So, you want to make sure you get the product right. So, I found myself in the depths of like probably a 12-step workflow between Canva, between Dropbox, between Wondershare, which is my go-to video editing program. And, I just found that after I did 2 or 3 of these, I was just like, okay, I'm a process-based person when I work and do things like this. And it's like, I should be able to create an automated process to just do this and make it work. And there should be some sort of AI that can just watch what I'm doing on the computer. And this sounds kind of big brothery, a little creepy,
Hmm.
but this is where, when we keep saying, hey, we're 2 years away, we're 2 years away from it being there. Because, Rosh, I'm here to tell you that it doesn't exist yet, but it's
Okay.
going to. All right. So I did some research through, to see what kind of automating, programs there are. And there's a thing called RPA, which is robotic process automation. That's the word, easy for me to say. Where, it can do a few of the things that you're doing on the computer and then create it again and again. But like you literally have to click on specific spots on the screen, and there's
Oh,
just no adaptability to it when set it and forget it and let it go. There's programs called UiPath where you can, automate downloading and uploading things from Dropbox or from
hmm,
internet type web-based programs. Zapier is a very well-known program that
yep.
does automation based on, we've used Zapier and Great Scott before, where if somebody gets a message, that it automates that it, turns into an email or even a phone call right away when somebody fills out a contact form, stuff like that. But Zapier is web only. All right. There's other programs called like Rewind AI where it watches what you do on the computer and it creates a process for you, but it doesn't do it. It'll create like a guide or a training guide,
Oh,
different
okay.
things like that. So you see how the pieces, they're all kind of forming in to get there. And, we keep talking about on the show that eventually you're going to have like an AI assistant that's
Right.
going to be like your master of all your AI tools.
Yeah.
And it's going to be smart enough soon to be able to learn how to use the programs that are on your computer. So, needless to say, at the end of the day, with this, process of having to update these title cards and download a video and re-edit them and do everything, here I am, after 66 videos in, I'm at like video 50, hoping to get it done by the end of the day. And but I'm here to, tell the audience that, there's workflow automation that it's coming down the
Yeah.
pipeline. And that's really a lot of what ChatGPT, and I asked Gemini and I asked, a few others, hey, where is this at? And the next big thing, they're actually going to be called AI agents.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
that's a term that I think you've mentioned
Yep.
before. And that's what is coming down the pipeline to where, yeah, you're going to have this be pretty much your assistant. And, it might be, 5 or 10 years down the road where it's connected with a neural link in your brain and it's holding onto your memories and it becomes
You first.
maybe your likeness down the road. Yeah, no, thank you. But hey, you never know when I'm, 55 or 60 and the memories aren't there as strong anymore and the
Excuse you.
options there, maybe I'll do it.
Excuse you.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so there are limitations to AI still. And like what to harken back to what
Yeah.
you said with the video app and that, these programs that, maybe all the details on the husky or the tiger are good, but it's moving backwards. And
Mhm.
honestly, with Runway and trying to make my own videos for my band, I ran into a lot of those issues where, I really had to work the prompt to get what I wanted out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was one time where I even in my video editing program, I reversed the video to make it look like it was going forward, to make it look like the car was moving the right way. So
Right.
I had to still be creative and do a workaround in it. And again, this is what we're talking to our audience of creative entrepreneurs, where it's like the AI is not just to press a button and the product's done. And if it is, you're going to get lit up around, the creative world. When you go and, post something on Instagram or on YouTube, and it's cheap AI. You look at the comments, Rosh, and it is just people being like, hey, cheap AI means a cheap product, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
So, we've got to be sharp as creatives and use the tools that are given to us to elevate our art that much
Yeah.
further.
And these tools are going to push our art. These tools are going to push
Yeah.
us as creatives to take things to, and even not just to another level, but to just think differently about
Yeah.
how we create and what we create and what's needed out there, or what do we want to make that maybe not be out there, because we
Right.
always have that option of what I often refer to through the years as the combination code, combining different things to create something new, and more every day, new tools coming out to help us create something new. And I find that just absolutely exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and just to harken back real quick, and I'm gonna plug my band's show this
Yeah.
upcoming weekend. I'm wearing a the Moonwreckers shirt here, and we're playing along
Nice.
with them. They're our good buddies,
Looking
and
forward to it.
hey, we we thought that we were gonna be playing the show potentially drummerless, and I'm like, all right, if we're gonna have to play to a backing track with just with a drum track, what else am I gonna do to excite the crowd on this? So I started to make lyric videos for every single song on the set. because I want to bring something different to distract away from the fact that there was no drummer. And, I'm just using a ton of AI tools and creating a way better product that I could ever create on my own, much more cost effectively, let's say, than, other ways of doing it. So, but
Right.
again, that show Saturday, the October 5th, the Lager House in Detroit. Now there need to be security at the door in case, there's any
Because the
sort of
fans
issue.
start,
All the fans,
yeah.
yeah, they're gonna rush the door. So, but all right, for the last topic, I'm gonna send it on back your way.
Yeah,
Uh,
so kind of an
top,
update I teased before. The update with Google Notebook,
yeah.
they now allow you to add YouTube videos. So my topic today is the 3 YouTube things you need to know, and being able to add YouTube videos to create those, one, the analysis, which is a big part of what that Google Notebook is all about, and allowing you to to analyze it, new prompts, questions related to it, but then of course that podcast feature that we talked about last week, which is pretty amazing. I've been seeing a lot of other people doing that. I've used it for a few projects now. They just need new voices. I'm already getting tired of the voices.
Yeah.
And I'm also able to pick up some of the AI voice scenarios, just the way they do it, because it's almost exaggerated. The ums are exaggerated in a way, or it's just certain style of an AI trying to be natural. You can start to hear it more and more. We've said that all along. You start to look at the chats in the Claude or any of those AIs. You start to see these words that pop up over and over again. And it's just their style, unless you prompt it differently. And I guess that's where we talk about that lazy AI. If you start seeing those defaults and you start seeing the same thing over again, if you really want to get down, it's probably you then, isn't it? Because you haven't told the AI to go beyond the defaults of the way
Right.
they do things. So yeah, absolutely. So I think I've answered my own question. I've obviously been very lazy lately. So,
Break it free.
yes. Um, Something else in the YouTube world, YouTube is creating AI tools. They have video backgrounds as well as 6-second clips. In 2025, you will be able to create your own clips to put in your videos. In other words, B-roll. Be able to put your B-roll right in via YouTube, and so that's going to be interesting. They're really digging into the AI world, knowing that, look, it's going to be a part of YouTube, and they're certainly going to have rules, and you certainly need to let people know if it's AI or not. They actually already have that checkbox in YouTube: is this created or not within AI, or misrepresenting things based off of AI? They actually made an adjustment just a few weeks ago. It was pretty broad statement, and they narrowed it down. Look, is this someone who's real in real life that you're made up, or is this representing something that would misrepresent something in real life? And so they made it a little bit more easier about in terms of what they're looking for, because a lot of people have questions like, well, I have a little bit of B-roll in there. Do I have to mark that box? And the answer is no. The answer is no.
Right.
Your title was AI generated. Do I have to check that box? No, you don't. So those are the things that it's really, if you are, making a clip of your favorite band and you never did it, or a place and now it blew up, that's not
Right. A
allowed either, or at
misrepresentation.
least you need to
Exactly.
let people know.
Yeah.
Lastly, is YouTube for SEO, and this comes uh, from many directions. I started working with Perplexity a little bit more and looking at how it's working, and it's really been enlightening. If you type in food photographer Detroit, it does pick the correct one. It is,
Little plug
and then
there. There's plugs
yeah,
everywhere in the show. I like it.
so it picked the correct one, and then it also showed me some of the references that it uses too, and also what is really important. I think you're going to need to consider. I know I'm talking YouTube here, but you also need to take a look at what are in Google. There are people also asked prompts in when you do searches.
Mhm.
Well, there's a very similar thing for Perplexity, and I think you should really pay attention to that, because those are the questions that you might want to be writing blog articles about to be getting connected in the AIs, because this is an AI saying this is what, here's your follow-up question. And so that, and they will have links, and some of those links went to my blogs on the food food site. So YouTube is going to be a big part of this, because YouTube is a place that the AIs do trust as a source. And I think it's important that you continue to develop your YouTube presence, your social media presence, because these AIs are depending on it. The AIs are depending on blogs. And I've mentioned this before, but it's becoming more and more obvious that social media needs to be real. It needs to be social media, as in social people. And it doesn't mean you can't have the assistance of AI, but the AIs are going to need to know that you are real. And that means you are active out in the world in a real way. And so social media is becoming more important for the AIs as we move forward. And YouTube is certainly a big part of that. And so I really wanted to to really emphasize that idea, because it's going to help your SEO. It's going to help you get found in the new age of AI, when we're looking not only at Gemini, but Perplexity, as well as the other models that will give you links to where you can find more information.
Well, that's music to my ears, being
Yes.
a social media agency owner. But yeah, having real content out there. But these, search engines now, the newer AI-based search engines like Perplexity, they're pulling their information from a whole new pool of things, and yeah, it's learning more and more that
I
social
had a
is a
nice
part of it.
conversation with the AIs last week about SEO and
Okay.
what they use to help them figure out what is it that they recommend. And many of those things is assuming I'm getting the correct information from them
Mhm.
as I dug down, is that, citations are really important. In other words, your company name mentioned in multiple places, incredible places, but links are still important. They still look at the links and the how relevant that link is and from where it's from. And so if you're being shown in different places and talked about in different places, that can happen a lot easier
Mhm.
if you develop the social media presence.
Yeah, I think that's my next commercial on my next BNI meeting. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Well, Rush, I believe we have, I think, a guest on the calendar coming up in October, so we'll get that locked down. And if anybody has any topics they want us to cover, anything on the show, just head on over to creativeentrepreneurshow.com. And also, if you're listening to the show, please check us out on YouTube. We're trying to do some different things there, and we'll be sharing some examples, some workflows, some of our stuff coming down the road here. So we'll
Yeah,
try to have
yeah.
more and more on there.
Yeah. The podcast on YouTube seems to be getting some legs,
Mhm.
and we're getting more. Instead of mom and dad listening to us, we're getting at least hundreds of listeners,
Yes.
and I
Good.
think that kind of capping the week with this podcast is great, but also showing you some of our workflow and showing you the experiments that we're doing
Yeah.
may be helpful during the week. And maybe we'll get a workflow for that as we move on. But we'll see how that works out. But I would say you'll start to see that coming soon. So, all right. Well, you've been listening to Two Creative Guys Talking AI. We'll talk to you next week.